Hello, welcome back to A Year of Miracles with Inner Bloom. So today we're on lesson 127 today, and the idea for today is there is no love but God's. Hold on one second. My nose is running. One second. Okay, I'm back. My nose started running right as I was speaking. Okay, there is no love but God's. God's love is the only true love. All other forms are illusions. So I know that I've said before, we have this idea like the human version of love is like romantic love. It's actually comes from like usually a selfish place or not like a true love place. The truth is that ego wants you to think that its versions of conditional love is real love. But there's only one real love, and it's God's love. There's only one real love, and it is unconditional divine love. It has nothing to do with other people. It has nothing to do with things. It has nothing to do with events. It is who and what you already are. You are love. Love, and we said this before, we're talking about our true nature and the peace and the joy and the love, the eternal sunshine that is always flowing. Love is that sunshine. It is just pure. It is just because it is. It is just because everything is. It just is. And the part of us that wants to put conditions on love, that wants to say, I've earned love, or that person's earned love, or I deserve love, or I'm undeserving of love, is the ego. And it's a lie. You are deserving of love because you are, and because it is what you are, right? So if you go into like a lot of like self-improvement modalities or teachers or like psychologists, um, a lot of people will say one of the biggest core wounds is I am not lovable. One of the biggest core wounds that so many of us have, one of the biggest core beliefs that so many people have is I am not lovable. I am not worthy of love. I am not lovable. All variations of the same core wound. But it's just a story. It's not true. So could you imagine the instant healing that would happen with the dissolving of that belief, of that story, of that false program? So this lesson is really asking you to anchor into there is no love but God's. I am one with God, therefore I am love, and there is no love but this love. It's asking for you to stop relying on achieving people, things, etc. from the outside world to depend your love on, and go to the very source of love. And I mentioned it in the last lesson or the one before that, the oven, the magical oven that produces whatever food you want. That story comes from the book A Mastery of Love because of this very reason, because you are that magical fountain of love. So this heals so many things. It heals relationship issues, it heals success issue, money issues, all of it, because you no longer need that validation from somebody else. You don't no longer need somebody to come to your door and say, I'll give you this pizza if you do X, Y, and Z, and you promise not to do X, Y, and Z, because you have that magical oven that can make a pizza anytime you freaking want a pizza. Well, that's the same with love. So love is constant, unchanging, and universal. Conditional love is not real love. Recognizing God's love dissolves all fear and all judgment. So the way that you're practicing this is you're going to spend 15 minutes contemplating the nature of true love, God's love, unconditional love, in the morning and in the evening. Hourly, remind yourself there is no love but God's love. You can even take it further and then remind yourself, and I am one with God. As needed, use this affirmation to counter feelings of unworthiness or fear that may arise throughout the day. Sammy?
I love that. I just keep going in my head now. I can keep hearing your voice going, I am an oven of love. I am an oven of love. It fills me with so much joy. Yeah, the tap doesn't turn off, right? It's constantly there, constantly flowing. It's only the illusion of separation or the distorted stories that the ego wants to tell us that we are unlovable or we are not loved. How can something that is made of love not be loved? How can something that is of love not be loved? Right? It's your natural nature. It's who you are. Um, it's just like the thing is when you go through some of these lessons, you start to quite like you just question it, like why? Why are we so far away from our truth? Right? How did we get so far away? Was this the purpose? I know I'm going off a little bit of a tangent here, but it's just like it's yeah, you can see like so many, I mean, this is what we're calling truth and me and everybody has their version of truth, right? So we're not trying to project anything onto you. We're just sharing what's shared in a Course of Miracles and our experiences. But when we're children, love is our natural nature, right? When we're a baby, they're just unconditional balls of love. Dogs as well, unconditional balls of love. They don't hold resentment. They don't judge. They're just constantly giving you love no matter what. But yet that feels so foreign to us. And so, again, like we said previously, with the forgiveness thing, start at the surface, right? Of in the surface level things, seeing everything from love, giving from love, being love, recognizing that there is nothing else other than God's love, right? So you don't have to immerse yourself into shutting everything out and trusting that this is all there is. It's almost like peeling back the layers because absolutely you can do that, but the ego is going to jump in with all the narratives. So just be like, I mean, there is no love but God's. It's just when you're in a situation that feels unlovable or something comes up that makes you feel unlovable, there is no love but God. And then allow yourself to, like I said, peel back the layers until one day you're going to realize that that's your natural state and that's where you stay, right? Wouldn't that be lovely? And sometimes it does feel like it's so far away, but it's only because we've been living a lie, right? And been programmed to believe otherwise. And so, like we said, this is an experiment. Remember, we're not trying to force feed you things. We're just saying this is an experiment, try it on. And you're definitely going to feel good for trying it on, that's for sure.
Yes. Um, the thing is that the ego has us addicted to this game of the pendulum of like um okay, trigger warning. I'm going to talk about self-harm just for a second because it's the analogy that comes to me, but like some people will like create pain for themselves in order to feel the pleasure. Well, the ego does that emotionally to ourselves. We feel pain, and then when that pleasure comes in, it's like this rush, and we don't realize that we can have the rush without the pain because it's who and what we already are. The ego has convinced us that we need to be in this swing of the pendulum. This pendulum has to swing one way so that we can swing further in the other direction instead of realizing that we actually are in infinite love and bliss. And even the rush when you're living from the ego state and the dualistic way of experiencing these emotions, um, even the highest high is nothing compared because it has limits because a pendulum, right, can only swing so far in either direction. So even when you're swinging in the highest of the high, there's still a limit. The love that you are, the true love, the true joy, the true happiness has no limits. And Sammy and I were talking about this off the recording. I said sometimes what will happen is that when you start having these experiences of that infinite love, it can feel so big, like you can't contain it. And so the mind and the ego wants to come in and try to contain it. It makes it uncomfortable because it feels like you're about to explode or something. But you get to allow it and you get to feel that much bliss. it gets to feel orgasmic if it feels orgasmic, whatever. You get to feel that level of intense love and bliss. And here's the truth that I think there's a lot of misconception of is that like when you're living in your true nature and you're in that like peace and bliss, they're just going to constantly be in this like high, like, no, but you'll have waves of it, but the low isn't a low at all. It's not high and a low. It's this peace. It's this beautiful stillness that gets sprinkled with these moments of like, and then when you go back, it's just stillness. And they're both positive emotions or whatever. I don't like labeling things like that. Instead of the swing of the pendulum of like, I feel bored. Okay, now I'm happy. That's the normal one that people feel. I feel a little unsatisfied. I feel a little bored, which is a form of suffering. Or on a more intense level, I'm super sad, super depressed, super angry. Oh my God, I'm having an amazing time at a party. I'm socializing. I'm feeling amazing. Regardless, they're both swinging between a form of suffering and a form of limited joy, as opposed to this consistent peace and bliss you get to feel that's sprinkled with these really cool moments of just intense pleasure. So, anyways, thank you. Sammy.
Yeah, actually, you just made me remember something that Michael Singer. Have you heard of? Yeah, you would have definitely. Michael Singer says that I think he's got the book. What's his book called? Where he basically said yes to everything.
The surrender experiment.
Yeah. So he basically said yes to everything, knowing that who he was at his core was love. And remember, the very first lesson for this course, nothing means anything, right? Unless you give it meaning. So those pendulum swings only come because of the meaning we give things. Right. And so he went on this experiment where he said yes to everything and was able to because he was in that presence of love. Right. So, yeah, I mean, you'll probably be able to speak a little bit more about it. But yeah, you just made that just came to me when you said about what you said.
Yeah, and just to add to that story, because I think it's relevant, because a lot of people are on here wanting to have better lives and make more money and find their purpose and stuff like that. Well, the result of his surrender experiment was he ended up founding a multi-billion-dollar business and has more wealth than he could have ever dreamed from. And it actually didn't come from teaching spirituality. It actually came from the most random thing, which is he helped build, I think it wasn't WebMD, but it was something like that, like one of the first online medical I think search engines or something. I don't remember the details, but his spiritual surrender experiment led him to developing this company, being co-founder and developer of this company that made him, I don't know if he personally made billions. I know he made millions, multi-millions, but it was a multi-billion-dollar company. So anything else, Amy? Okay, thank you so much, and we'll see you tomorrow.